Hey guys, how's it going? It's Douglas here at Drownboy Productions, and today we're going to be unboxing the mask that changed the face of Scream as we knew it. Alright guys, we will be getting into this unboxing very soon, but first I have a couple of other scores that I picked up recently that I thought I may as well show you guys in this video, so let's look at those first. This first one is a purchase that I'm not proud of. In fact, it may be a great signifier of how deep in the trenches I really am with this whole collecting thing. You know, it's gone a bit too far when you're doing things like, you know, buying a Ghostface pencil. I know you guys can't see it from here, but this is a pencil that is adorned with Ghostface. And I don't really know a whole lot about it. It could be real, it could be official, it could totally be a bootleg. It could have come out after Scream, or it actually could have been a Fun World product, possibly, that was released prior to Scream, when they just had the Fantastic Faces line. Since it's not in the original package, there's no way to know for sure, and there's no copyright marks on it whatsoever, so who knows? Like I said, it could have been an old Fun World product from when they were just making like Halloween decorations and party favors and stuff like that. This very well could have been something they produced. It does seem to be at least that quality. The mask does look to be like legitimately a Gen 1 Fantastic Faces, just the way it's shaped. The pencil was just a bit unnecessary, but just in case it was real, I had to go ahead and pick it up. But this next item is actually something that I got really lucky on and something that I have been searching for quite a while now. I would say at least a year. Funny enough, we just did the 10,000 subscriber special where I unboxed that fanny pack from Scream 2, and I was talking about how I almost have the entire outfit except for the t-shirt. Well, right after I released that video, not even 24 hours after releasing it, I was doing some internet sleuthing and looking around some old forums and such, and I found a gentleman who had posted this Scream the Sequel cast and crew t-shirt up for sale a few years ago, and I noticed that nobody interacted with the post. There was like one like, no comments, nothing else. So I wondered, I'm like, well, what's the likelihood he still has this thing? So I thought, may as well give it a shot, and I sent the guy a message, and he got back to me within 24 hours and said, yeah, I still have the t-shirt. I got it from production, and it came from the key production assistant, I believe is what he said. And it wasn't worn any after production. He took it home, folded it up, put it in his closet, and it's been well kept ever since. And guys, it is in literally immaculate condition. Like completely perfect. Nothing wrong with the graphic on the front, nothing wrong with the shirt whatsoever. But yeah, he told me just to make him an offer on it, and since this one was completely brand new, had no problems, I offered higher on it than I had for any of the other pieces for the collection. But it worked out because he accepted the offer, and now I can say I fully completed the Scream 2 cast and crew outfit. The hat, the fanny pack, one version of the shirt, because there's technically two shirts, and the jacket as well. So pretty happy to be completing that, and if any of you out there know of any other cast and crew pieces from Scream 2, be sure to let me know so I can keep an eye out for those next. Alright guys, and now we're into the actual part of the video that the video is supposed to be about, the mask that started it all for Scream. Here we have a package from John Lewis, aka Johnny's Collections. Johnny is another big Scream and Ghostface collector and Fun World collector as well. I believe he does collect more than just the standard Ghostface masks. And in fact, guys, Johnny actually at this point owns a majority of my old Ghostface and Scream collection. Or I guess I should just say Fun World collection in general. A lot of those pieces, whenever I had to sell them, did go to him. And all the masks that I didn't sell to him, he's pretty much at this point gathered all of those. So at least out of my tagged collection, like all the old tagged Fantastic Faces and stuff, he seems to have assembled pretty much a majority of those and has a lot of my old collection. So if you guys are interested in that, or you're interested in seeing other Scream and Fun World pieces, his collection does span far beyond just those old pieces of mine. So go check him out on Instagram and YouTube. I'll be sure to put both on screen now. And with that being said, let's open this package. So, as some of you may know, a couple of years ago, kind of got into a bad situation where I wasn't really feeling the hobby anymore, decided to sell off a majority of the Scream collection, and I also had to sell off a majority of the pieces I didn't want to let go of to try and help out my father with some of his medical expenses. And most of the pieces that were gone because of that were like my tagged original Fantastic Faces. And out of all of those that I lost, the only one that I just really hated I let go of was that tagged White Shroud. It was truly like the gem of my collection at that point in time, the nicest White Shroud I had ever owned, plus an original tagged copy. It was just amazing. And I sold that mask then for the same exact price that I paid for the mask that I'm about to open now. Kind of a little bit sad, a little bit bittersweet, but as a collector, that's just something you gotta learn. If you really love something, try to figure out a way to keep it. You don't want to have to let it go, even in cases like that. It's better to try and figure out another way to come up with the money. So with the mask that's in this package, I will officially be recompleting my original set of Gen 1 Fantastic Faces. So I'm very, very pleased about that. The hunt is finally over. I don't have to worry about trying to find one, especially in today's market, which is absolutely fucking insane, by the way. So I'm happy to finally have completed my set. But anyways, let's open this up and we'll talk about why this mask is so important. Oh, that's a beauty. That's a real beauty. Oh, I haven't seen one of these in person in such a long time. Alright guys, I'm sure you already know what the mask is and you can, pretty much see it by this point, but what we have here is in fact an original Gen 1 Fantastic Faces White Shroud Weeping Ghost. Now for the story of why this mask is so particularly important to Scream. Some of you may already know this story, but some of you may not. I'm going to pretty much be citing most of this information from the interview that was done by Ryan Hills with Marianne Maddalena, and let's talk about it. So Kevin Williamson had already completed the original script for Scream, and I believe the killer at that point in time was just described as Ghostface. There was no real physical description of the killer, how they would look, how the costume would look, any of that. So during the film's production, K&B was coming up with all these different designs. I'm sure you guys have probably seen many of those at this point in time. The very ghoulish, like gargoyle-ish looking designs that were made up, and none of those really fit with the killer that they wanted to create. Well, one day while Marianne, Wes, and the rest of the crew were out location scouting for somewhere for Tatum's place, I think, they actually happened upon this. Marianne went upstairs, opened up the boys' bedroom, and saw one of these white shroud ghost masks sitting on the bedpost. I believe at that point Marianne pretty much immediately grabbed it, took it downstairs, was showing it to Wes and some of the other crew. All of them immediately were like, nah, we don't want that, we're gonna make our own. We're gonna make our own. They weren't really too thrilled about it, whereas she immediately was just like, this mask, this is it. Well, some time passes, and of course they really didn't come up with a fully fleshed out design by K&B. They weren't really happy with what they were trying to do, so Marianne said, well, hey, call up that lady who had that location, find out if we could borrow that mask maybe, and let's see about that. Pretty much from there on, the rest is history. They got the White Shroud mask. I believe at that point in time, K&B tried to replicate that mask. They tried to sculpt something as close as possible to parody it, since they didn't own the rights to the original mask, which is how we got the K&B effects mask. And I do believe that very White Shroud may have actually been used in the film, but we'll talk about that in a second. So once they had received the White Shroud ghost mask, they started trying to come up with the outfit for this. And as some of you may have recalled, there was a story going around about them possibly having an entire White Shroud ghost. And I believe it was something that may have been considered for a very small amount of time, but in the interview, Marianne stated, we kind of talked about it, but it was a very small window of time where we thought about using the white. Ultimately, we decided that wasn't going to work. And at first, they didn't even really know if it was going to be a robe. They just thought of using an all-white outfit for an all-white ghost. The robe pretty much came as the product of them trying to figure out the way of how they were going to hide the feet, how they were going to hide the hands of the killer. So they made this entire sheet, essentially, that covers up almost every part of your fucking body. So yeah, the full White Shroud costume was something they kind of tossed around, but it wasn't anything that was heavily considered to be used for the film. So, back to the whole thing about the White Shroud originally that they found being used in the film, or at least, as far as I think. This is a theory. For those of you who have already watched my Scream 1 movie mask guide, you may already know a little bit of this information, but I'm going to go ahead and refresh you guys now. During the earlier days of production, they only had a few Fun World masks on set that they could use after they had gotten permission from Fun World. During that time period, they were waiting to receive a second shipment, or I guess technically a first shipment of masks from Fun World to set. But they still had to film during those days, so they shot Casey's scenes, and I believe the last day on set before they received that box of masks from Fun World, the last day of filming was when they were filming Principal Hembry's scenes. In particular, the ones where he's going through and cutting up all the masks. Well, one of the masks that I don't believe was seen in the final cut of the film, but was cut up during those shots, was an original Fun World mask, and that can be seen from some photos that I believe came from Nate Reagan, but they're just some old photos of a bunch of original Scream movie prop masks laid out together. And of course, you can see a Fun World mask cut to pieces. Now, this mask also was just not a standard Fun World mask, this was actually one that was modified by K&B to some degree. By this point in time, the mask had been reshrouded, and I think it had a few other modifications, but they're not really that noticeable. Well, there also happens to be a photo of a Gen 1 mask that was recasted and casted out of latex that was finished by K&B, and it has like a weird gray shroud kind of glued along the edges of it, and you can tell it's not an original Fun World mask. Well, for K&B to have created a mold of the Gen 1, they would have had to remove the shroud to make a proper mold. So I'm thinking, if they had that mask originally, and they were trying to alter the original Fantastic Faces mask to fit what they were trying to use on film, they clearly did recast it at one point for some reason. After that point, the mask wouldn't have a shroud, but they still needed to make use of the mask, and it wouldn't have been damaged because it's vinyl, so I'm thinking they added this other shroud to it, and I believe that mask possibly was used during Casey's chase sequence in the house when the house is full of smoke. I think it's after the popcorn's caught on fire, and you see Ghostface running through the house for those few brief moments. Due to the scarcity of masks on set, the fact that that white shroud has never surfaced, or no photos of it have ever surfaced, all these years later we've never seen this white shroud in question, etc., all these things seem to align, and I do believe that this was that mask. Another indicator to me is that this mask was very, very yellowed after filming, and none of the other masks, even today, the modern hero masks, have yellowed like that. Even ones from like Scream 2, 3, 4, none of those have really yellowed like that, but this one was super, super yellow. And of course, as we know, one of the things that makes the bromine in the vinyl react and turn yellow is smoke. So I think this possibly could be that very mask. Perhaps they used it just during those stunt scenes running through the smoke and stuff like that. Who knows? I know at one point in time they decided they didn't need it anymore, and Principal Hembry, the Foz, cut it into pieces with some scissors, so there you go. So with that being said, without Mary and Madalena finding this mask originally and pushing and pushing and pushing for them to use it in Scream, we probably would never have seen this as Ghostface. This mask might not even be famous or popular, it would just be viewed as any other random old Halloween mask. And who knows what Ghostface would have looked like. A lot of the success in the franchise is attributed to the look of Ghostface and how iconic this mask is. Oh yeah, another thing, this mask in particular is pretty special to me because this was actually the first white shroud I was ever offered the opportunity to own years and years ago by Corey Hirsch, another massive Scream and Ghostface collector, and I passed up on it. It's been sold to several other Scream and Ghostface collectors over the years, slowly but surely rising in value, and now I believe it has finally found its final resting place with me. Anyways guys, that about does it for today's video. That's all I really have to share with you. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please let me know in the comment section down below and leave a like. Yet again, love you all, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.